The Elgin Police Department is dedicated to working in partnership with the community to promote safety and enhance the quality of life by serving with professionalism, encouraging open communication, and embracing diversity.
Engaged.
Partnering with our citizens and involved in our community.
Progressive.
Embracing innovative strategies while maintaining proven practices.
Dedicated.
Serving with integrity and professionalism. Elgin became an incorporated city in 1854 and installed its first police marshal, George W. Renwick. Over the years, the title of the head law enforcement officer changed from marshal to chief. And although the role has expanded, one duty has remained consistent: to ensure law and order for the citizens of Elgin.
It's time now for Fridays with the Finest, featuring Elgin's current police chief, Anna Lally, on Elgin's hometown radio station since 1949, WRMN AM 1410 and 96.7 FM.
And good morning, everybody. We are here today, as we are every single Friday, Fridays with the Finest. They don't get no finer than our good chief, Chief Anna Lally. Good morning, Chief. How are you doing today? Good morning. Caught you sipping. Sorry about that. Go ahead, take a good sip. There you go.
Doing well, thank you.
Yeah, city's doing good. I know we're nice and safe. Everything's going good. So what's happening?
There's a couple things I want to talk about. And again, if anyone wants to call in and have any questions, please do. I'm more than happy to answer questions. Last week I was here and I was talking about some of the stuff with the with Trust Act and just immigration and on our Facebook page, because we share obviously the video through our Facebook. We did get a lot of views and we did get some questions, and so I just want to make sure that the community knows if there is anything that you need me to answer, please get a hold of me, call me. There was a person that put a comment. They asked me a question, and I had our PIO person respond. We normally we don't go back and forth on social media as a police department. I'm not going to address every comment, whether it's good or bad. I'm very respectful of people's opinions, and I understand that that's what makes the world go around. So, I'm not offended if you're not happy, and I'm not offended if you're not, if you're thinking that we're not doing something that we should. Those are opportunities for conversations. Sure. And so, I had Hector go ahead and respond, and more than happy to have any conversations with people, explain things, the why of what's going on here, because it's very important. It's not as simple as what I think people sometimes break things down to. Very complex emotional issues that are, It's not. This is not. We're going to either Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts and deciding which one. This is so complex. It involves humans. There's things that police officers can and cannot do. There's what people want us to do, and there's things that we can do. Right. We also have to make sure that we're respecting everybody's rights and everybody's opinions in this. And so it's very important to me. I will make myself available. I've had a lot of conversations over the past few weeks. This has been going on in Elgin since January, February, March. So but it's kind of picked up a lot. That's why I talked about it last week. I was at the council meeting. But my number one thing, and I stress to the community, please, 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 if there's a question that you have for me, that, if there's something that you do not like that I'm saying that is bothering you, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to explain the why, explain and give information. That is paramount to me, that, you don't have to agree. Most people in the world don't agree with each other. But I think that it's important that for everyone that the right information is out there. And it's also important for me, for the officers too, because the officers are sometimes put in situations that, there's only certain things that they can do and can't do. And that's across policing.
Right.
That's not just as it deals.
It's not just you.
Yeah, it's just
and that's why you have your PIO,
Yes.
Sergeant Gutierrez. He gets the message out.
Yes.
You're seeing all these messages.
Yes.
And the one that are worthy of responding to or getting back.
Yep.
And he's quick on the draw.
Yeah, I tell
everything
them,
out.
there's times where obviously you're going to get people who are going to express their opinion about, their like or dislike or something like that. And, it is what it is, but when there's an opportunity, I always look at those as opportunities to really build relationships and have a good conversation and to be open to people. And, I have no issue when people want to give me some sentiment that, maybe that is not going to be pleasant to hear. Again, opportunities for me to make sure that the right information is out there and to build those bridges, and so I truly appreciate every single person in our community. I appreciate, what the support they give to the Elgin Police Department, and I can reassure everyone in the community that, we are a police department that are, hands down, in my opinion, made up of some of the finest men and women that you will ever want to meet, who truly have good hearts, good heads. No one is perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. People are listening to this. We are humans. But I think when we take a step back and really, truly try to understand each other at a different level, that's, to me, where the magic is happening. And I've seen it work. I've seen it during our protest. I've seen it during police reform. It was a lot of the same sentiments about, why are the police doing this or what is with that? And those opportunities, those conversations, I never missed an opportunity. And you could see 4 or 5 years now how that mattered, right?
Right.
It matters to show up. It matters to be honest, and it matters to be, approachable. And so, whether we're dealing with, immigration issues, we're dealing with police reform, we're dealing with crime, we're dealing with whatever it is that we're dealing with, it's always important for me to show up in that conversation. And
But it has to be a conversation where if I'm talking, you're quiet. If you're talking, I'm quiet. Because both of us talking, we're not hearing each other.
Yeah.
You have to be able to get to that common ground of, okay, let's address the situation. Blow your steam off. Call me all kinds of names. Okay, now, what's the real problem?
Yes, yes, and I think if you have that mentality, which I do,
I know you do.
and it's totally fine. Do I enjoy sometimes that? Like sometimes I wish we could just get to the core of it and
Right.
really get to the deeper.
People want to
conversation.
vent. That's the problem.
But I completely understand the first part, right? And it is very important to me that the community hears this and that they know. And again, I think it's as much as things that had happened in the past, police reform or things that at the police station or the Safety Act and all this stuff and COVID and everything, police task force. As much as that stuff happened and there was just a lot of feelings, I think it really put us in a better place to show to our community, the type of people that we are, because it's very hard to trust people, when you don't know kind of what they're about, right? That superficial kind of trust that people give each other only goes so far, right?
Yeah.
To me, it's important. I have to understand how you think. I have to understand what you believe. I have to understand, and people don't always have their best days, right? Sometimes I think most people, if they look back at their lives and they think, man, I was kind of a jerk that day, right? Like I got to take a step back, or maybe I should have tempered that a little bit, and I do the same thing as a human. There's times when you realize not too strong, right? You got to pull back a little bit. I realize that's one of my, when people ask like, my thing is I'm just too. I realize I'm too blunt sometimes, right? Sometimes it's
but you're a problem solver.
Yeah, I got to
problem
smooth the
solvers
message
are that
a little
way.
bit, right? So over the many years,
Yeah.
I've been able to, it's more about the finessing of the message, right? The core of what I believe, and that's that's the thing too. People are who they are. I mean, I truly believe that. I don't think people change. I think people evolve. They learn. They grow. They embrace. But the core of who you are, in my opinion, never changes. Yeah. And that you can mask it, you can hide it, you can, again, you can be a chameleon. But if you believe certain things or you feel certain things, even if you try to hide it, in my opinion, or if you try to like, okay, well, I got to do this. So it's just, in my opinion, sometimes it's just be who you are, right? And then work through
Accept it for what it is.
Accept it for
You're
what it is and
them.
work through it. Sure. And, difference of opinions in the world is what makes the world go around. So anyhow, I want to talk a little bit about, so I just want to make sure that, I say that, I took about 8 minutes to say that, but the point of it is,
we should record it because we often
we talk
go
about
down
this.
that path.
Yes, but I think the
people
thing
don't
is,
get it. You did a good thing with that kiosk.
Yes, let's talk about that.
And then you
yes.
got a guy from California moaning about. See, it's what's
Oh,
important.
what did he say?
He was saying, he says, instead of honoring victims, about you do your job and remove illegals. I mean, and he's from California. That's
Yeah, and I would
but my
and I would
point
say-
is, some people, what's important to them is, oh, he parked in my parking spot.
I get that.
Or the guy is too loud next door, or he's got his car radio. But yet fireworks will be going on right next door. And you say, well, what about those? I didn't even hear them.
The gentleman from California, I hope you're enjoying some good weather. And if you want to have
ridiculous.
if you want to have a conversation, just like what I said earlier, please do. I would love to meet you and talk to you and talk a little bit about your opinion and see kind of to understand your why. And I'm not I completely and truly appreciate those conversations. But talking about the kiosk, I want to mention this.
Great thing you did there.
So this came about, and I want to kind of talk a little bit about how it came about. So obviously the Karen Sheepers case, it was in March, but it seems like it was like years ago. It's the weirdest feeling because I've talked a lot with Andrew and Matt, the detectives, and it's so weird because you feel like it was 3-4 years ago. It was only 6 months ago.
Yeah.
But during that time, that case and the significance of that case, first and foremost, it's giving peace to the family, or what we hope is some peace. Closure is a bigger word. We don't know how they feel, and what it, that's a very relative and individual thing. But what's interesting is, though, talking with some of the, talking with the detectives and then talking with the three supervisors. So Lieutenant Mike Martino, Sergeant Brad Duffy, and Sergeant Ryan Davenport. So those are the investigative, supervisors down there, and having these conversations about, what can we do to honor Karen, right? So this is kind of how it spurred a little bit, and honor that case and honor the family. So that kind of turned into, well, let's do this kind of wall, remembrance wall, but let's do something more to then now use it as a way for education for the community too, of our open cases. So this kiosk, you come into the police department and it's, touch the screen and there it is. Perfect. Thank you.
Those of you watching YouTube.
Yes, I appreciate that. So you go on there, you can learn about our homicide victims, our solved cases, our missing persons cases, history of the cold case unit. You click into the homicide victims, the missing person, and it tells the story, who these people are. And then next to it is this wall, and this is amazing. This is something that, it tells the story in one storyboard. Because I think as time goes on, everything is on social media. You can go on our Facebook, you can look at our transparency site, you can look at our cold case website, and you'll have all these different things. But during that time, there was so much media stuff going
Key
on.
items. Boom, boom,
Everything. But this
I hope you run out of wall space.
Yes,
in the
eventually,
station.
right? So this was a way to, memorialize and capture that moment in time that changed, in my opinion, a family, a police department, and a community, hands down. And I could say that because I've been here for almost 30 years. And that feeling that week, that couple of weeks, and even till today, it's something I've never experienced. And so we did invite the family before we unveiled this publicly. We invited the family last week.
Nice.
And so they came, her sisters, her brother, her mom, when we unveiled this to them. And, that family is just so gracious. And so, that's important to me, too, before we do things publicly, that the family gets that first glimpse. And because, one, I want to make sure we did it right. We get it right. Sometimes the things that we think in our head, we're like, oh, this is a great idea. This people are going to, and then you realize, ooh, that probably wasn't.
Yeah, you roll it out, and then all of a
And then
sudden,
you're like, ooh, I don't think
maybe
people
not
like
such a
that.
good idea.
But I will tell you, their response was nothing less than gracious, how they've been, and just so appreciative. And I think they don't realize, to be able to do stuff like that for the family, it means more to us, I think, than they will ever know, right? And so, anything that we can do to, and also, and I explained to the family, many, 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 many years from now, whoever's in their family and they want to know about Karen, instead of, okay, we'll go on the internet and click this, and it's just kind of informal thing. I said, this will forever be in the lobby of the police department, right? You can bring your family in here. It's a place to reflect. It's a place to read that and be in an area where you can be somewhat private, right? So that to be able to do that for that family, to me, it's always like, what more can we do for them, And
Right.
so great thing. And so I want to say thank you to Lieutenant Mike Martino, Sergeant Brad Duffy, Sergeant Ryan Davenport. Andrew and Matt did not know about they knew about the kiosk. They didn't know about the other things. So that was a surprise to them too, to kind of honor their work. So thank you guys, the three of you, Mike, Brad, and Ryan. I truly appreciate you guys. And I think, these are the things that matter in the end, right? Like every day there's something going on at the police department, right? And that's just business. That's just work. These moments where we take our time to really, I think this is what life is about, right? Like the adventure is the life that you're living, right? And so, make those adventures, in my opinion, really great. The small moments like that where you could do something for people and I think expect nothing in return. Those are the best ones, right? So, I want to talk about that. I also want to talk about, we did have a significant arrest this week. So on September 23rd, we responded to the 300 block of South McLean. Again, I want to stress this. When you see things going on social media, we will first say something like there's a large police presence, and then we'll try to, also narrow that down to isolated incident, no threat to the public, right? Which means basically we're working on something.
Right.
We don't
Stay
know
away, please.
Yeah, we don't know what we have just yet, but you're okay. There's no threat to the community. Obviously, if there's a threat to the community, we would say that. As we make our way through the investigation, we ended up making an arrest. This was a subject who was, it's an aggravated battery. A subject was transported to an area hospital, non-life-threatening injuries. These two people had a brief interaction prior to the battery that occurred. Everyone was identified. The subject was charged with attempted murder, aggravated battery, 3 counts, and they were transported to the Kane County Jail for their pretrial detention hearing, where they were detained pending a further court date. So we wrapped it up very quickly. So I want to say thank you to, again, Elgin police officers. The work that they do every day is, in my opinion, amazing work. They are, there's a lot of expectations for officers in the department. The expectation and the bar is set very high for them. And, they do an amazing job, an exceptional job. Everyone from our dispatchers to our records clerks to our officers to, we're, again, I think we did it this week, a couple debriefs about some incidents that we have, right? So after these major incidents, we'll get together, and anyone that was on that call and anyone can come to these debriefs, and we sit there and we do some critical thinking, and I think that you have to encourage, and for the sole purpose of us getting better. And I think that's something that I always truly believe in. And you have to, encourage a healthy environment of productive discourse, right? That where you can sit in a room and say, look, we did good, right? I mean, we got this done, but let's talk about some of the things that we can do better. And so I think that's that constant critic, that no one is going to be in my opinion, for me, no one's going to be the worse critic than myself. I mean, I will assure you the amount, like the bar in my mind is set very high for myself. And so it's important to me that, we have those conversations to make the officers better because they're young. 60% of our police department is 10 years or less.
Well, that's the value of getting everyone together, talking about it, because now they're hearing maybe some of the veterans ask a question.
Yes.
And then you get the younger guys, the question that they ask, instead of them being laughed at, it's like, no. Understand, it's this way.
Yes.
And then the guy's not embarrassed to ask a question again. But if the old guys are seasoned veterans are laughing at the young officer for our comment, that's not right.
And we don't have that many left. Even officers who are in that 10 to 15 year, like they have experience and they have a lot, but they don't have as much as someone who has 25 or 30 years. And then I always say this, time is relative, right?
Yeah.
If you've been a police officer and you really don't do anything, and I say that like you don't get involved in things, you don't go to calls, you're afraid to get involved, you've never been in a different type of position that has, broaden your perspective. You don't even have to be in the position, but broaden your perspective.
Even attend to the community events. You're always having some type of a community event. If you don't get involved in that,
it's very
you don't
hard
know the community.
Yeah, and it's very hard to have that other perspective. It's very hard to, I think, mistakes are learning opportunities. So on some of these calls, when officers do make mistakes, some mistakes you can't come back from, but vast majority you can't. Mistakes are not misconduct. Misconduct is when you have been talked about, your mistake has been talked about, there's some lessons there, and then you continue to do it. That's misconduct. Mistakes happen every day, right? So I think it's one of those things where you have to, encourage, and I've always said it, in this debrief, one of the officers kind of, prefaced their comment with, I don't want to be a jerk, or I don't want to sound like the jerk. And I stopped him and I said, look, right, these statements that you're making, these declarations of I'm not being a jerk. I said, stop. That is not the environment that we're, the culture. You should respectfully, politely, right,
interject your comment.
Say what you need to say for the purpose of learning, for the purpose of understanding, for the purpose of seeing someone else's perspective. And so it's important that, I will tell you, when I was a young officer, we never did debriefs like that. Very rarely did we do debriefs. I shared when we had the missing person a couple of weeks ago, right, the importance of some of the reasons why we do what we do. When I was a young officer, we had a missing person case. Brittany Martinez. It was 1998 and 97, 98, and I was a midnight shift officer. And I vividly remember working that shift, night shift, and then we stayed and we're searching on foot in Elgin.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as Facebook. You don't have the reach that you do now. You don't have your smartphone in your hand where you can go from house to house and be like, do you see this person, right? You're showing this grainy picture that's been Xeroxed, a copy 20 times over. So, I think, I shared the importance of, and unfortunately, that case ended very tragically, and this is why it's important that in those first few hours that everything is done that we possibly can, because when you go back and look at some of, and again, it's important, our profession is policing, right? Our profession, it's not a job. Our profession is policing. And you have to be aware and in tune of the things that happen in your profession. If I'm a doctor, I want to know what's the latest and greatest, medical research.
And you're gonna listen to someone that maybe
Yes.
knows a little bit more than you.
And even people that may not, because that's, I think, how it inspires creativity, right? That there are people who, they're again, it boils down to just listening to people's perspectives, and everyone brings value, whether you've been here for one day or you've been here for 30 years, and everyone brings value. And, I think that's the culture that, I think we have worked very hard to create in the police department. It's still a work in progress. But, young officers who want to, do events. I also want to say, thank you to Officer Juan Juarez this weekend. He put together the event that on Saturday for, our Hispanic Heritage Month.
Viva Elgin.
Yes, and it wasn't, and also Officer Jose Quintana. Those two worked together. We had they said about 200 people attend. I am aware of things that were going on that morning, the weather and all this stuff, but I still want to say thank you for their work, their initiative. And I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to continue to do those things. If we get.
But again, it's another comfortable police presence.
Yes.
So people see that you're there, not with the handcuffs in your hand, but with a handshake instead.
Yeah,
and a kind word.
And I think that's sometimes when you see some comments on social media about, and I've said it all the time, right? Community engagement. Why do we do it? Why do we do it? We waste time, we waste money. And I've been saying it for 8 or 9 years, right? Like, that is a philosophy of the department that was started before I became the chief. And every chief that has come, they've made it bigger and better, right? And so my hope is that when I am no longer the chief here, whoever is in my seat, that they take what we've created and they continue to push that, because you see the results. The results are not, you're not doing it just to check boxes. You're doing it to truly establish these relationships that in times like this, where there is something going on that's very concerning, people can say, I could call the chief, I can call this sergeant, I could call this person, because I've met them, I've talked to them, I see what they think, how they believe. So, the community engagement, and that doesn't mean that we don't do our enforcement aspect of police work, right? We are at the lowest we've ever been for shots fired.
Nice.
And I don't even want to say it and talk about it, and I'm not going to.
We'll go to the next topic.
I'll talk about it next week. That's because of the amazing police work that the officers do. And also, that's one component. There's also other things in society that we don't necessarily have an impact on or influence, and we may not know what's going on there. So sometimes it's high, sometimes it's low. Again, I've been here many times where it's high and I'm getting, as to be expected, people asking, what's going on? What are you guys doing? Completely appreciate that. Always have been open about what's happening. But I think all this stuff together, the engagement, the enforcement, the education, right? Those three things. And then you add a little bit of some really good people, and then you add a little bit of people that truly care about their community. That's where the magic happens. And I think it's very important that we continue to just know that every day is a great opportunity for us to continue that work. So we're not done. We have still so much to do. So thank you to those two officers for the work that they did. I talked about the significant arrest. I want to mention a couple things too as we round out here. Our Halloween event is coming up Tuesday, October 28th, from 5 to 7. This is our fourth or fifth year. And every year, this is my favorite event my first event is Nightmare on Chicago Street. I love that event. But at the police department, and that's retired Officer Larry Jenko that just went by. So hi, Larry, if you're listening. That event, I love Halloween. Halloween is my favorite holiday. So we go all out, right? I love it. So we're having our event, again, Tuesday, October 28th from 5 to 7. Come to the police station. Last year, thousands of kids. And this is, the kids are seeing police officers in a very different way. And so now when you think generationally, those stories of, what parents will pass on to their children, this is how you change the narrative. So, and that's work on both our sides. So thank you to our community for always engaging with us and working with us. Thank you to the members of the Elgin Police Department for doing what you guys do every day. I know the bar is set very high, and you guys reached that bar and then some, so thank you. So I will be here next week. I think next week I'm going to bring our supervisor, Joanne Stingley of our social services, October Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We have a lot of events coming up. We have the Domestic Violence Walk. I know Joanne has some stuff going on, so
if you want to have them come on, other than yourself, I mean, in addition
absolutely.
to, we'll be happy to have them on out to lunch, everything.
Yep, they will be here next week. So if you guys want to make those arrangements, but so I think that's about it. So I hope everyone has a great weekend. And if anyone has any questions about anything, please call me.
I saw a few things about your Explorer post. Was it 1445? 34 young individuals,
awesome young
perhaps
people.
On the path to being it. And then we had the privilege at America First Responders Fest, Sergeant Vartanian and Detective Houghton were able to be there. We were able to acknowledge them.
Thank you. I appreciate
for the hard work that they did. And a lot of people really had a chance to talk with them, and they were,
humble.
Who wouldn't be? They're very humble.
Oh, I know.
But everybody was in awe at the accomplishments that they made. So it was really a nice deal. I mean, I think things are going well. Yeah. Like you say, Nightmare on Chicago Street, that is relatively incident-free. This weekend, you'll have in town the Fringe Fest.
Yeah, that's more of a city thing, so we're not really too involved in that. But, I know that goes on, too. So there are a lot of good things happening. The weather's supposed to be nice, too, this weekend. So
yeah, I think we're going to have
we'll see how it goes.
Beautiful, beautiful weekend. But, you have any questions, you can always call 847-931-1410. You can call the police station, 847-289-2700.
2700. You can ask for me, and they will get a hold of me. They all know how to.
And I was there. I'm telling you, she answers questions of the citizens that call in. And like I say, you go to the Facebook page, Elgin Police Department. They're right on the Facebook. Anything of interest is going to be on there. And it'll be on there first. In missing persons, does Elgin, if I come in, my daughter, my uncle, they're missing. Mm-hmm. Usually they come home at this time. Do you immediately let people know? Is it an immediate post?
So it's not immediate. So it will take a little bit of time to talk to the family to get that background information, figure out what's going on. But it's relatively soon enough where we think if we kind of know where they might be, we do those steps before. But if we're really kind of like at the point of like
like the old days. Well, look, wait till tomorrow if she doesn't come back.
No, you're talking plus or minus an hour or something like that. Yeah,
Very good.
And again, each case is individual, but the importance is to leverage that power of social media, which is getting more people involved.
Yeah, today was what's out there. All right. Thank you very much, Chief Anna Lally. You have a great week. And hey, listeners, we'll catch you next week with Chief Anna Lally, Fridays with the Finest. Have a great weekend.